What is up? Welcome back to Reggie's World Sports. I'm Reggie, and before we get started, I just want to tell you guys to hit that subscribe button, like, comment, share with your friends and family, and continue to support my channel.
Big as the Super Bowl.
We're going to get into the Atlanta Falcons and that game against the New Orleans Saints from last night or yesterday. And as you guys already know, the Atlanta Falcons, they pulled it off. They got the dub against those Saints, 26-24. And as expected, that game went down to the wire. It was nip and tuck. It was tight. It was competitive. Had some breaks go, fall our way, and some of the breaks fall the Saints' way. It was a good, competitive, typical Falcons Saints rivalry football game. But my Falcons pulled through. We got our get back, and they got it done. They got it done, 26-24. The defense made some plays. Special teams did their thing. The Falcons offense wasn't really particularly great, to be kind, or even good, but they made enough plays down the stretch of that game to pull out the win. And so they got it done. Good game. But I'm going to have to be honest with you guys. As a Falcon fan watching that football game, I'm not thrilled. And it's wild for me to say that, considering who the Falcons played and who they beat. And look, it was a huge game. The Falcons needed it, obviously, because this team could not afford to go down 1-3. This team could not afford to lose 3 straight home games. But I gotta be honest. Like, I'm not thrilled by that showing from yesterday from the Falcons, despite them beating the Saints. And let me just get this off. Looking at this game, the Atlanta Falcons won despite not scoring an offensive touchdown. Hear me out. Let me repeat that. The Falcons beat the Saints despite not scoring an offensive touchdown. And if you look at the box score of the game, the New Orleans Saints outgained us 365-311 when it comes to total yards. They had more first downs than us, 25-14. They were better on third down. The Saints were 7 for 13. The Falcons were only 4 for 11. The Saints dominated the time of possession, which is another category in which the Falcons they've been really struggling at. The Saints held the ball for 35 minutes. The Falcons only held the ball for 24. And so you look at the statistical, data in the box score, and you would think that the Saints should have won this game easily. But they didn't. They did not win this game easily, in part because the Saints had 2 turnovers, and 2 turnovers that resulted in points, and 14 points for the Falcons. And you had the Saints had the Shaheed, muff punt. I don't know what he was thinking in that game. He should have just let the ball go in the end zone. I don't know what Shaheed was thinking, but thankfully on his part, he muffed the punt, and the Falcons were able to recover the ball in the end zone. So the Falcons scored there to make it 7-0. And on the other score for the Falcons, Derek Carr tried to attempt a screen pass in which Matthew Judon made a great deflection, and the ball was intercepted by Troy Anderson, and he returned it for 7. And so, a great defensive play on the Falcons' part on that end. But, you look at this game overall, and you're talking about 14 points that was helped off by the defense and special teams, and basically 3 field goals. It's just not great. And look, I will say this for the Atlanta Falcons in this game. I think the defense, which is very much has been kind of bend but don't break. They're you look at this defense, and especially early in that game, I felt like they struggled. I felt like they struggled a little bit early on in the game on defense. I thought Tyson Hill was able to run the ball. The Saints were getting him involved, and so they were moving the ball with him. And Alvin Kamara kind of had it going as well early in the game. And so the Saints were able to move the ball with their running game. They were able to run the ball, and Derek Carr was able to complete some short passes to Rashid Shaheed and Chris Olave. And so they were able to get it going early in the game. But one thing that was also noticeable is Tyson Hill got injured in that game, especially early in it might have been like their late first quarter or early second quarter. And so he got injured. And I felt like after that, the Falcon defense, for the most part, they were able to kind of neutralize New Orleans' offense. I thought they did a really nice job of, the corners were playing off because they didn't want the Saints to beat them with the home run play. And I thought the Falcons did a nice job of that. They didn't allow the Saints to hit the big play on them. And so that was nice. In the running game, after Tyson left the game, I thought the Falcons did a pretty decent job of kind of just neutralizing the Saints offense and not allowing them to hit the big plays. And so that was encouraging to see. The lack of pass rush is still a concern though for me. Like we're still not getting enough pressure as much as I would like them to. But again, you look at this defense. Like for the most part, they're doing their part. The defense they're doing enough to have the Falcons, within a chance to win games. And so I think you give credit where credit is due defensively. They're doing their thing. Like they're not giving up big plays. They're not giving up. They're allowing teams to kind of dink and dunk, complete short passes, run the ball. So the defense they're allowing the offense to do that, as opposed to just beating them through long passing plays. And it's kind of worked out so far. And so I think the defense deserves credit, for how they played yesterday. They didn't allow New Orleans to just go bonkers on them offensively like they did the first 2 weeks. The special teams, again, that fumble recovery from when Rashid Shaheed fumbled the ball, they deserve credit for that. But look, like I said, even though the Falcons were able to win the game, this offense it has to get better. It has to get better. And through 4 games, I think it's fair to say for the Falcons offensively that the offense just has not been flowing in ways that maybe most of us expected them to. And yesterday, I think what was glaring yesterday offensively was, the penalties. And that's another thing I didn't mention. The Falcons had 9 penalties. 9. So 9 penalties in a football game is way too many. It's way too many. And a lot of it is just is illegal formations. It's false starts. It's holding penalties. The one glaring play that I remember was Jay Matthews. Like the Falcons, when the Falcons were up, I want to say, was it 20-17, and Zach Robinson called a nice play call. He threw Kirk Cousins threw a screen to Bijan Robinson, and he ran I think it was like 30-something odd yards for a touchdown, and you were thinking, oh, we're about to blow this thing open, and all of a sudden, nope. Penalty on Jake Matthews, left tackle. And it just, and ironically, I think on the next possession, Kirk Cousins fumbled the ball, and I think we ended up recovering it, and we were fortunate enough to be in position to kick a field goal. And so the penalties, like every time I've said this for years, penalties kill drives. They kill drives. And offensively, the penalties for the Falcons, it kills drives. I mean, it's just hard to manufacture good drives if you're operating from second and long or third and long. You know, if it's second and 20, if it's third and 15, you know, if it's, you know, first and 25, like it's hard to manufacture drives that way. And the Falcons, it felt for far too often, they were in like second and longs and third and longs for most of the day. And so I felt like that was a massive problem. We only ran the ball 15 times, which is extremely low. Now I will say this, you know, I want to give a shout out to Tyler Algier. He was huge in the running game when we were running the ball, as well as the passing game. Like he made so many huge plays on third down. Huge plays. That dump off, I think, or late in the game, he had a dump off pass. Kirk found Tyler Algier on, I think it was like 3rd and 10 or whatever, and he just ran and he broke like 3 or 4 tackles and he got a first down. Like, he was awesome. And obviously, I think it would be nice if you could use him more. You know, involve him. Because look, Bijan Robinson and Tyler Algier as like a tandem, running back tandem, it's hard to find running back tandems that are better than those two. Like, really. You know, I think of Bijan Robinson and Tyler Algier, and I'm thinking like, man, this could be a modern day, more explosive, better version of, you know, Warren Dunn and TJ Duckett back in the day. You know, as I'm sure some of you older Falcon fans can attest to. Like, I think Bijan and Tyler Algier have that kind of potential. And so, look, it was good to see Tyler Algier get going. He's been huge. And quite frankly, I thought he was huge, you know, in the Kansas City Chiefs game as well. And so, big shout out to him. I thought he was really good. But, you know, look, man, offensively, like we have to be more consistent. The penalties have been a massive problem. Kirk Cousins, you know, look, to Kirk Cousins' credit, he was awful in week 1. I thought he played better in weeks 2 and 3. Yesterday, he was just he's been okay. I mean, he's okay. You know, he had that terrible interception. Now, on the interception he threw, speaking of Kirk Cousins, you know, it seemed like he was trying to force the ball to Ray McCloud. And, you know, whether Ray McCloud fell or whether Kirk Cousins was trying to force in the ball, it just wasn't good. You know, either way, it wasn't good. I don't know whose fault it was, whether it was Kirk Cousins' fault for forcing the ball or Ray McCloud for falling. That pick was bad overall. Like, we can't have those. We absolutely cannot have turnovers and interceptions. But overall, like, I thought Kirk Cousins, he played okay. I mean, outside of the interception, I thought he was just kind of fine. Like, he wasn't particularly like impressive or good, but he wasn't like terrible either. You know, he wasn't like bad or terrible. He was just okay. You know, he was just okay. I also want to say this too. Like, on the offensive line, offensively, the offensive line, like I want to give them some credit. The offensive line, I thought, did a nice job of protecting Kirk. They didn't allow New Orleans' defensive line to get after him the way I feared that they would. And so I'm going to give the offensive line credit. And so kudos to them. We have no, our starting center and our starting right tackle. They've been injured and they've missed time. And so kudos to them. But again, like offensively, we got some stuff to clean up. The penalties have been a massive problem. Just offensively, the passing game, it's been a little hit and miss. And speaking of the passing game, I've said his name before, but at this point through 4 games, we're gonna have to have a conversation about Kyle Pitts. We just have to have a conversation about Kyle Pitts. And I mentioned this earlier in the year, but there's this notion that like we needed a quarterback so we can unlock our weapons and unlock, Kyle Pitts and Drake London and Bijan and these guys can just explode and these guys can just take that next step, and all we needed was a quarterback, right? Like that was the notion and the narrative, in the offseason. We're through 4 games and Kyle Pitts barely has over 100 yards through 4 games. And 50 of those 100 yards that he has was through one play against the Chiefs. And Kyle Pitts yesterday had 0 catches for 0 yards, and he had 3 attempts. Kirk Cousins threw him the attempt to throw the ball this way 3 times, and he came up with 0. Like, I hate to admit this, but like Kyle Pitts, man, it's not looking good for the man. It's not looking good. Like, Kyle Pitts has been MIA this season. And at some point, we're just going to have to ask ourselves, are we sure Kyle Pitts is good? Like, are we sure? Like, I don't like throwing out the B word. And I'm talking about the BUST word, the letters. Like, I don't want to throw that out there yet, but it's not, like I said, it's not looking good. And just thinking back on it, like we're getting nothing out of Kyle Pitts right now. Nothing. And for me, it's hard for me to defend him. Like before, you could maybe say, well, maybe we didn't have a quarterback, or the coaches are using him wrong. He hasn't been healthy. We made all types of excuses for Kyle Pitts. He has a quarterback in Kirk Cousins. The offensive line has done their job of like pass protecting Kirk Cousins. And look, everybody else is getting open on the team. Like Drake London, he had 6 catches for 67 yards, like pretty productive day out of him. Like, he's getting open. Ray McCloud's getting open. Darnell Mooney, by the way, shout out to Darnell Mooney. He's been awesome. He's been awesome. Darnell Mooney has been like, when we signed him this offseason, I kind of didn't know what to expect out of him. I heard of him when he was a Chicago Bear. Like, I heard of his name, but I just didn't know. Like, I didn't know what to expect out of him. He's been awesome. He's been great. He's gave this team a jolt and some speed that we needed at the receiver position. And so big ups to Darnell Mooney. He's done his part. He's done his thing. And he made an unbelievable catch earlier in that game. A nice little contested catch that Kirk threw to him on over the right side. Just a great ball. Great catch. So salute to Darnell Mooney, but back to Kyle Pitts. He's the only guy on the team that we just see that's not doing anything. And for me, man, I just think at this point, you watch Kyle Pitts Like when the times where Kirk Cousins was throwing him the ball, like he dropped it and he got hit hard late, earlier, and it was in the first quarter of the game. Like you can tell that they were trying to force feed him the ball a little bit. And he was dropping the ball and he got hit. And then later in the game, when the Falcons really needed to make something happen on third down, like he's running across the field to his left side, and he stumbles on his feet and falls, and the pass is incomplete. And so, like, I look at Kyle Pitts, man, and I'm just, this is what we're getting, like, really? And then what hurts me as a Falcon fan is I'm looking at the lack of production that we've gotten from Kyle Pitts through pretty much the whole year so far. And you compare that to guys like Jamar Chase in Cincinnati and the wide receiver, and Penei Sewell, left tackle for the Lions, who's one of the best left tackles in football. And you have Jalen Waddle in Miami, who's a speedy receiver, deep threat type of guy. And you have Surtain in Denver, who's arguably the best corner in football. And you have Micah Parsons in Dallas. And you have Slater, the other offensive lineman. I think he's in I think he plays for the Chargers, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. Like all of these guys are doing their things for their teams. And Kyle Pitts is just he just hasn't done anything as a Falcon, since his rookie year. In which, at that time you kind of thought he had something. And I'm just at this point, it's hard not to be concerned about the lack of impact and production that we're not getting from Kyle Pitts right now, because it's not good. And at this point, like, if it doesn't get better, like he probably won't be a Falcon for much longer. And so it's a highly disappointing output that we've gotten from Kyle Pitts so far this year. We're just, and look, I'm not trying to single-handedly blame him for why the Falcons offense hasn't been crisp, but I mean, he's a part of the problem at this point. Like we're getting nothing out of our tight end, out of Kyle Pitts, nothing. And to me, it's hard. And look, I don't want to blame the coaches. Like I don't want to blame the coaches. I don't want to blame the quarterback. I don't want to blame like the people around him, like Kyle Pitts. Like, where are you? And so, I mean, those are just my thoughts right now. Like, we're getting nothing out of Kyle Pitts offensively. And this is a guy that we drafted 4th overall in 2021, 3 years ago. And so it's not good. And I just think at this point, we're going to have to ask ourselves, like, is Kyle Pitts the problem? Like, is the problem Kyle Pitts? Is he just not good? And that's just kind of where I am at the moment when it comes to just some of the issues that I noticed yesterday. But look, offensively, overall, they're gonna have to pick it up if they wanna do what they want to do and accomplish some of their goals that they've laid out this season. And so, look, offensively, they're gonna have to play better. Like they were really fortunate to get this W against the Saints. I'm glad that they got this W against the Saints. We needed it, and hey, I mean, it's the New Orleans Saints that we're talking about here. Our rivals. We had to get this W, and I'm glad we got it. But at the same time, look, the Falcons play Tampa Bay on Thursday, another divisional opponent. And this is Tampa Bay. This is the team that honestly they've been excuse me. Tampa Bay, like they've been the kings of this division for the past 4 years now? 4 years, like 3-4 years. They've been the kings of the NFC South. And so this is what the Falcons have coming up, and they had a good win against Philadelphia and Baker Mayfield. And look, shout out to Baker Mayfield. So far, he's proven me wrong. Like I didn't think Baker Mayfield was capable of having 2 good years in a row. And so far, he's like, at least through these first 4 games, he's building off of what he did last season. And so kudos to him. Shout out to him. So far at this point, he's doing this thing, and they got some talent. They got some talent with Mike Evans and Godwin at the receiver spot. And so the Falcons they got their work cut out for them this week. Short week on the road at Tampa. It's not gonna be easy. But again, like, I'm glad we got this W. I'm glad we got the Saints. I'm glad that we did our thing and we beat up on those Saints. But hey, there's more work to be done here. Make no mistake about it. There's more work to be done when it comes to these Atlanta Falcons. They gotta level up, and we'll see what happens. But those are my thoughts. Y'all subscribe to this. Y'all subscribe to this channel. Like, comment, share with your friends and family, and continue to support this channel. And so that's all I got for today, and I'll see y'all in the next episode.